Hello, everybody. Welcome to LEAD860, Catalyzing Action in Complex Systems. This is week 4, Finding Leverage Points in the System. And so this week, we're continuing with the theme of systems thinking and the kind of movement to building our whole systems mindset. But we're really focusing on the idea of leverage points, or places that we can make an intervention in a system that can have more and less impact. Again, the readings are relatively technical, but the essence of what I think the material is really inviting us into this week is this idea that when we're in a situation, we can zoom out, we can see the bigger picture, we can become aware of and curious about the interconnected influences that are having an impact on the situation, and we can also become aware of how we might be getting stuck in patterns that aren't really giving us what we want, that we're getting stuck in sort of loops or cycles that are producing outcomes that we wouldn't be really looking for. And again, when that is happening, where we can have some leverage, where we can put our efforts that can make a bigger change, and really how we can see ourselves more as designers and creators of our systems rather than victims of circumstance. So again, just to illuminate this idea of leverage points, I have this picture behind me, and so it's kind of like as we have some kind of mission, we have some kind of job to do, we're responsible for some outcomes, and if things aren't quite going the way we want, where are we putting our energy? And a lot of times we're putting our energy in places where we have to push really hard, we have to put a lot of effort, and it only makes a little bit of change. And so those are low potential for leverage points. Those are not places that we have a lot of leverage. And so the article this week is really inviting us to become aware of how can we have a higher leverage in our system so that a little bit of effort produces a big result on the other side. And this is going to be kind of illustrated for us in a lovely article by a woman named Donella Meadows called Leverage Points, Places to Intervene in a System. And this is an extremely influential article in the field of systems thinking and quite technical, but also I think really profoundly thought-provoking, and potentially a little bit paradigm shifting. So please read that article. The homework for this week is to revise your systems map. If you have been able to put it in this week and get some feedback from me, great. Otherwise, it's fine for you to put in your first systems map early in the week and get some feedback and revise it later in the week. But by the end of the week, we want your final systems map. And there's here in the check-in for this week, I'd also love if anyone has any thoughts or questions about the readings, and or any of the homework. We can have a discussion here. And I just wanted to reflect back on last week. I think most of you were involved in the discussion on the collaborative decision-making process, but it was very rich. And just to kind of connect it to the themes of the course, I think it really revealed a little bit of a resistance line, either for you or that you perceive in your organizations, that there's some kind of sense of the status quo, the established power structures, the attachment to efficiency, was going to create a resistance to doing more collaborative decision making and shifting to more deeply collaborative practices where power was shared in a new way. And so we talked about that in the discussion, but I just want to say, as we're kind of coming up next week on talking about polarities, that there is a polarity there in this course, and there's a polarity in some of your organizations, and I think that there's a huge polarity in our world today, where on one hand, we are expressing more value in collaboration, we're expressing more value in being inclusive, we're wanting to give our stakeholders and our employees and the public more of a voice, and yet we also deeply value efficiency, and a lot of our systems are quite habituated into hierarchy, and hierarchy is really designed for efficiency, and so they go together, and so there's a lot of fear and resistance to fundamentally opening things up to the levels of chaos that might create, that might slow things down, and probably definitely a sense that if we have power, that we might lose power. So we can see this happening on lots of levels in our society. I think this is, in essence, the root of the Me Too movement in many ways. This is, in essence, a conversation that's really driving a lot of politics in the United States, in Canada, in Europe, with a kind of a rise of populism and totalitarianism. And I think just an encouragement that as we're looking at our own situations and our own leadership in our teams and our organizations, that there's not a sense that there's a right and a wrong answer, that one is right and one is wrong, but that each situation requires us to look directly at the situation and use our own intelligence and make the right choice for whatever it is. It might be better to kind of act unilaterally, or it might be better to really engage, and that's not, there's not a recipe. That's something that we have to discover in relationship to reality. I just want to say lastly that I will not be having office hours this week. It's the only week I'm not having office hours. I will be away with my family in a place where I won't be able to make a video call, but I will be checking the forums daily, and I'll be here to answer your questions, and I hope you have a wonderful week.